Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and it's time to wrap up my January reading month. Now, I will say it is new year, same mood reader, but new tools to help me wrap up the month. So one thing that I'm going to show you all is a couple of different layouts. First, I will be using Storygraph to show you some images and what I've read to give you a comprehensive look. I also will be sharing with you a graph chart, which you'll see here on the screen now, that kind of gives you data girlies the stats for the month. So in total, I read 13 books. Now, in the month of January, most of them were mixed media, meaning that I listened to audiobooks and read it digitally in tandem. So I read 7 of those in mixed media format, 11 ebooks in total, because there were 2 in particular that were ebook only and 9 that had audiobooks to go with them. So I think that's a pretty fantastic stat, especially for getting started for the month of January. I will say there was one DNF, which is not reflective on this graph, but I will be talking about that on the channel. In total, from a page standpoint, I read 2,430 pages and listened to over 47 hours on audio. Now, for me, that is pretty fantastic. I do find that I love doing the mixed format. I am getting the breadth and depth of the story while listening to it, but I also want to find moments to highlight some of those key phrases, go back and really digest the information by looking at it visually. So mixed media works for me, but again, for each person, it may be something different. In total, from an average standpoint, I had a 4.31 average rating. And again, that doesn't mean a whole lot to many people because again, ratings are subjective, but for me, it means that I was on the money when it came to the books that I decided to read. For my highest rating, it was probably the first 2 books that I read for the month, which the first one is a quick novella. So we're going to talk about that, which is Rudy Jones' New Year's Resolution by Aria Days. Now, let me tell you, this one was absolute perfection for me. I love kicking off the New Year's with a New Year's novella, and this one was just, it had everything. It was laugh out loud funny. It was a second chance romance. It was spicy, yet so sweet and so touching. Now, let me give you a little bit of backstory here. This centers Noah and Rudy. Noah is our FMC. She is going away, spending time at her family cabin. She just wants to get back to her roots, restore, and relax. Not remembering that she did offer her ex-husband, Rudy, the opportunity to spend time at the cabin for his golden birthday. So she's shopping at the grocery store and she runs into her ex-husband and she's like, this cannot be happening. Whole time, Rudy has plotted this specific moment to get his wife back. Y'all, I loved that Aria Days had a really good mix between the spicy and the sweet. This couple really did have that right person, wrong time. They married when they were very, very young. And so they were trying to figure out who they were, also trying to get their lifestyle established at that point where Noah felt like she was taking on too much of the burden. She was working, she was paying the bills, she was trying to be a great wife. She felt like she was the only one committing and trying in the relationship and that Rudy took advantage of her. And Rudy whole time understood. It wasn't until he lost his wife that he said, I've really got to get my stuff together. And he started planning and plotting this entire time to get his wife back. It is 6 years later. They find themselves at the supermarket and in a forced proximity situation because they have agreed to spend the New Year's holiday together, which so happens to be his birthday. I loved the moments we got where he was pampering her and he was spoiling her and he was saying, hey, like, it's always been you. It's never going to be anybody else. I really want to make this work. Like, this man never lost sight of that she was the prize. He was like, if I died today, you would have it all. Like, because we divorced didn't mean that you weren't my everything. And just to make sure that you know that, I'm going to give things back to you. I'm going to give you everything that you should have got while we were together. And I couldn't be happier to have read that. 5 stars, absolutely loved it. Now, once I finished that, I said, okay, well, I've played enough. I need to go back into the Zoo Boys, because at that point, we had just got the audiobook for Zu-Topia, and this is the 5th, so it's the second to last in the Zoo Boys series, y'all. 5 stars. Actually, this one made me cry. I had such a good time being back with the Zoo Boys. And this month, which is the month of February, I will be finishing the series. Clock it. Hold me accountable. But going back to Zeus and the Zoo Boys, y'all, this one had so many complex emotions. There was some heavy topics in here. I'm going to tell you, there was suicide ideation. There was but there was also found family tropes. There was medical conditions, but there is also, caring, light, love, and laughter. This one centers Zeus and Sasha. You get to meet Sasha. She gets introduced into the fold. This also builds into the spinoff, in which you'll get to see Sasha's crew and, bringing Zeus along for the ride. Y'all, this one has a tattoo artist in our FMC, and our main male character, Zeus, he has always been the bad boy who really needed somebody to kind of give him, as good as it gets. Because one thing about Zeus, he is a hard man to tamper down. Like, he's a wild child, and he does reckless and ridiculous things. However, Sasha said, baby, what you're not going to do is play in my face. What you're not going to do is put me in the corner. I'm a rider too. I'm a boss, babe, and I'm a match whatever energy you bring to the table. Whether it's good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. I got it for you. And y'all, I can't wait to see how everything unfolds with the final book. After that, I read Janae Sanders' second time around. This one is a small town romance, love after divorce, single parent, kind of a sports romance, celebrity kind of ordeal, where Janae is our single mother. She is raising an amazing young man. Her son is in high school, and he has finally found the arts program, something that he loves and adores, and it wants to be celebrated and advance in, right? Janae is starting to think for, what are the steps that I can do to get my son a scholarship, because she has lost a good portion of her income, being that her ex-husband, has divorced her and left her to start over again. And so, that being said, Janae is very skeptical of men. She is very much like, I don't need a man, I don't need a relationship. All I need to do is focus on my child and getting him to college. Unfortunately, the school administration has decided to cut the budget, and the first thing that they saw fit was the arts program. However, money is still rolling in for the sports program, and she's like, 2 and 2 don't make 4. And there is a new superintendent. There is a new guy coming in that is not a part of this small town community. And she's like, this has got to be the reason. Lo and behold, she did not know that it was her high school crush, which is Adam. Adam has been living in New York City. He's a big town guy. He left, but don't get it misconstrued. He still has the small town roots. His parents are still there, but his parents are the thing that drove him out of the small town. And he is now like, I decided what I wanted to do. He's a former NBA player, and he's now coming back to take over the school and really follow his passion and his pursuit. And so I will say that there is some family drama. His daddy was dead wrong. That's how I feel. And now he's coming back, and he is tasked with finding out that his high school crush, who happens to be Janae, one person that he always felt was like out of his orbit, he now has a chance with her. But it's either sacrifice his chance at being with her in a relationship, and because he is trying to advance his career and solidify himself within the administration, or go with, saying, I don't need this job, I can find something else and get the girl. Y'all, when I tell you that this one has some mixed elements into it, because again, these two are older characters, and I love that. They both have history with one another, and history and life experiences that kind of shape their reality. We're getting to see older characters that really have an understanding of what they want out of life. It is mature romance. Now, on the flip side, I want to get into a series that I absolutely binged through. I read all 3 in the Cappadonna, which is the Delgado season 2. And I'm not going to... Actually, I'm going to take that back. I read Cappadonna last year. So I'm putting this with this, but I read this in December. For the month of January, I read Cappadonna 2 and 2.5 and 3 and 3.5. I'm not going to spoil it because, again, it is an entire collection. What I want y'all to know is I understand. Everybody says you love Capone, but wait till you meet Cappadonna. And I'm going to tell you, I still love Capone and Erin. When I talk about a couple, they're my people. When I talk about a husband, Cappadonna's my man. When I talk about adding layers to a storyline, Capone was really your introduction. Cappadonna is where, buckle up, buttercup, we're going on a ride. This is where a lot of pieces start to fall in place. And my favorites happen to be 2 and 2.5. I'm going to be real honest. 2 and 2.5, they were it, baby. 3, I felt like was a little bit of a filler. It was good. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Don't hear what I'm not saying. 3 was good, but it felt like a little bit of a low. 3.5, we brought it home. Can't wait to get to Capri. I want to tell you a little bit what this entire series is about. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm just going to tell you Cappadonna is now out of prison, and baby, the streets are about to feel his reign. He is coming back, and he is like, okay, I'm trying to continue on the legacy of which my brother left. Like, he started it. He want to retire and be a family man. I'm here to take it home. Take it where we want to go as a Delgado family. But not too soon into his return home does he see the woman he has been pining for since he's been in prison. And it's not his ex-girlfriend, or it's not his current girlfriend, let me say that. His current girlfriend is somebody we have met. I want to say it's Kendra. Is that her name? Kendra. Why is that? One moment, please. I was correct. It is Kendra. We're not pining over Kendra. But Kendra is his woman. So while he's coming back from prison, he's like, okay, well, let me go back to my woman. But lo and behold, he sees Aliyah. Now, Aliyah is the woman that has been visiting prison. She was visiting her husband in prison, not knowing that Cappadonna ever exists. But this man had been praying for a wife. He had been praying for Aliyah this entire time. He had been like, oh, she's somebody that been put in my path and I want to see it through. Not knowing that as soon as he came home, he was going to see her, and he was like, okay, well, you're mine. Now, it's not as easy as saying you're mine, except if you're Cappadonna. Aliyah is nearly 6 to 8 months pregnant, right? Like, she is fully showing she is having a baby. Her husband is now deceased. And now Aliyah is stuck in a position where, like, who is she going to be with? Is she going to be with Cappadonna, this man she doesn't know, who is showing her the way in which her life could be? Or is she going to stick in the path that has been given to her? Because Aliyah is technically supposed to be gifted to her husband's brother. Now, let me tell you, that sounds absolutely wild, and it is. However, Aliyah doesn't know any better because Aliyah grew up very sheltered and she has been told her entire life what to do. So in her mind, she is following Allah. She is saying, you know, if Allah is telling me to be with my husband and to honor him, and he decides to give me to his brother, maybe that is what I'm supposed to do. But Cappadonna said, not on my watch. You my woman, and I'm going to show you every which way and what turn. Whoever comes and tries to take us apart, they're going to meet 6 feet under. And the ride that we go on, it's one of a lifetime. Absolutely love this. After that, I did pick up the second in the duology of the Soul Tie series. This is Playing with the Soul Tie by A Blossom. Y'all, I went into this thinking that it was just going to be a good, funny, hilarious, messy time. And it was absolutely that. Everything that I thought I was getting and some more. This one starts off very rocky because we have our FMC who is pregnant and she doesn't necessarily know who the father of her children are. And I say children because she's having twins. Now, she has been messing with Drew. Drew is a guy that she has started to fall in love with. Whole time, hear me out. Whole time she's thinking that that is the father of her children, and she finds out, oh, actually it could be the man I've been messing with for months that happens to be his rival music producer, Max. Now, in this, our female main character Marley says, okay, well, I want to try to build with the father of my kids. Drew, we can't be together, even though I absolutely love and adore you. Now, Drew is absolutely devastated by this. He decides to cut her off. He's like, no, we can't be friends. There's nothing that's going to happen. Until Drew and Marley have to be the maid of honor and the best man to their siblings. Now, again, very messy. The way in which Drew and Marley met is by their siblings who happened to get a marriage of convenience in book 1. And so that's how they started messing with each other. And then they decided to break apart because aforementioned situation. Now they're back and they're on this vacation and they're in forced proximity and feelings started to arise. They start to come back up. And through that, they decide, did we give each other a fair chance? Now, this is messy, let me tell you, because this one has love and hip hop, in book format. Literally, our female main character, Marley, is a celebrity socialite on Love and Hip Hop. Her boyfriend, like I said, is a music producer, and Drew owns a music company. And so she's finding herself in this situation. However, what wins out? Do you go with your feelings or go with your family? And in this, she has choices and decisions to make, but some of them unfold themselves. And when I tell y'all, I was living for the way in which this second chance romance between the two of them kind of played out, and we got to see a lot of twists and turns. Let me tell you, A Blossom definitely gave a plot twist for you, and it all worked out in the end. 4.75 stars. Now, after that, I said it's time to quit playing, and it's finally time to read 1201 by Bella Jane. Yeah, I've had this on my TBR and on my shelves for years at this point, I feel like. And it was something in the universe. Like, the TBR cards was working in my favor. It was like, hey, just wait a minute. Like, don't pick it up just yet. Like, you hear all of the good buzz and you know it's a good time, but it's going to be an even better time in December 2024. Because at that point, the audiobook has dropped and it's worth every single penny. I pre-ordered this. I wanted to support Bella J because she had read one of my favorite books that I had read in 2025. Like, after reading Bookmark, I said, yeah, I'm going to trust this woman implicitly. And baby, did she deliver again. Because 1201, specifically the audiobook, is going to live rent-free in my mind. I'm going to play chapter 16 every January that it comes around because I've got to know. This one also is a New Year's type of celebration or theme. It is a forbidden romance, and let me tell you why. This is my ex's brother's type of lick back season carrying on. It has enemies to lovers. Now, our female main character, Time, we find her at the beginning of this book in a jail cell. Now, you may sit here and say, well, how does a romance come out of that? I just told y'all about Cappadonna. But this one is a little bit different of a situation because she absolutely went ham at her fiance's wedding to his alleged cousin. Yeah, you heard me correctly. He is her fiance, and yet he married a woman that was supposed to be his cousin. And of course, she's like, I'm going to clock out, and I'm going to bring my bat, and I'm going to wreck shop. Now, who comes to pick her up from the jail cell other than his brother, whom she originally had interest in first? Now, if that isn't enough to entice you, let you know. Like I said, the audiobook takes this book to new heights. Emmanuel Ingram is reading some spicy times where it's so hot that you feel like you need to go take an ice bath, because that's how spicy this book is. It definitely has some pleasure club feelings, but I want you to know it's not just about the spicy times, which are damn good. There is also It's Always Been You, I Was Never the Man That I Thought You Needed type of energy. He is, if I am with you, what does everybody else matter? Like, I don't care about my family. I damn sure don't care about my brother's feelings about this. If you want to be with me, no, it's all greens, flags, greenings go. Like, I want to be with you, and I think that you deserve the world, and you damn sure, if you're not going to get it from nobody else because I fumbled the bag the first time, you're going to get it from me. And we're going to go into the opposite, which is probably my lowest rated book. That's going to be after that I read Applying Pressure. It is in the same reading vlog. I gave it a 2.75. I had my reservations about this, and I knew everybody said it is unhinged. Now, again, talking about red flags, I tend to ignore those. I tend to hear when people say unhinged male main character that will literally unalive people at the drop of a dime. He is obsessed with the FMC and he's a football player. Something in my brain says, oh yeah, I'ma love it. Unfortunately, when I read it, did not love it. A lot of things can be wrapped up in that video, so I don't want to harp on my feelings. I just want you all to know it centers two couples. One is going to be Ocean and our FMC. Her name is Miami. That is one couple. Ocean and Miami, they're the main couple. However, there is also their best friends that is also a part of this relationship. And that is probably one of the things that I'm like, did we have to do this? There are some red flags that's just popping up left and right. But really some of the things that irritated me was the fact of, I didn't see any romance. There was obsession, don't get me wrong, but I miss the romance of the circumstance. I miss where common sense entered the chat. Yeah, I'm all for an unhinged MMC, but I gotta feel like he actually want to be with the character and that he showed her like it's everybody but you. But unfortunately, when the man said, hey, if you're not gonna be with me, you're not gonna be with anybody, that gave me the ick. If you want to get, again, more of my in-depth thoughts, go look at the vlog. Just know that it will be coming off of my shelf. And it's probably hidden from me right now because I can't find it. The last two and final books that I read for the month, I read The Brooklyn Way by Tracy Gray. Very much an unexpected surprise. When I tell you, this one gave me vibes similar to Ella Gets the D. When it comes to, it is a celebrity romance where our MMC is very high profile, a celebrity in a sports arena. He comes back to his hometown, where he goes to his house, and it just so happens that his sister's best friend has been allowed to move in without his consent or knowledge. They develop a relationship, and through that, they decide to see whether or not they can make it work. If you liked Ella Gets the D, I'm going to tell you the Brooklyn Way is very similar, but very condensed, because it is, I want to say, about 250 pages less. I really enjoyed that this had some high points and some low points. It wasn't just a cozy, cute romance, but it also had some heavier topics when it comes to grieving your parents and dealing with that as an adult. And coming out of a marriage in which you weren't, the center of attention, you weren't the love of your person's life, you were pretty much a prop and a crutch for them, and how they try to come back to you after you have moved on, and you still wrestling with what you deserve. There is discussions about finding your own way and what do you need to do after your celebrity career. I really enjoyed this one, and I am glad that I prioritized it because it could have been sitting on my shelf for a very long time, except the author is going to be at Petals and Prose, and that is what introduced me to reading this. And I will be reading more out of this series because I think it is about a 5-book series about basketball, and we're in basketball season now, so I'm ready to pick that up. Lastly, wrapping the month up with another basketball romance, it's going to be The Winning Play by Lauren Lacey. Y'all, this book is 508 pages, and you may be thinking in your mind, why on earth do I need 500-page romance? I encourage you to read this book, come back to me, and then we'll have a chat, because this book is neighbors to lovers. It is soulmates. It is best friends to lovers. It is found family. It has literally almost anything that you could ever want wrapped into one book, but it is so emotionally toiled and heavy that I want you all to make sure, one, check your trigger warnings. When I tell you this is riddled with trigger, I almost feel like it's 500 pages of trauma and then you get 8 pages of happily ever after. And by no means am I telling you that you should enjoy reading trauma. What I'm telling you is that this book will emotionally devastate you, but the ways in which Lauren Lacey seals up little cracks here and there, and she's able to get you to like want to collect yourselves and be so emotionally entangled with these characters that you just want the best for them. You want to see, you are dedicated to seeing their happily ever after. Y'all, this book, if I did not know what type of time Lauren was on, because I had read the first in this series is the Playing for Keeps series. If I hadn't read the first one, I wouldn't have been emotionally prepared for this one. Y'all, it has some of the most hard scenes to ever read, and it happens back to back. But again, when I tell you, if you are an emotional reader, you want to get invested in the characters. You want to see them fight and get their happily ever after. You want to see situations in which people prevail. This is the book. Again, I know I'm making it daunting for people to read, but I just really have to advise you when you're getting into this. Just know that when it comes to determining what is best for you, you have to make that decision. Don't let anyone deter you from thinking that you're valuable, to thinking that you're worthy, that someone could love you despite all of your scars, and the way in which you are taught and trained as a child. That does not necessarily mean that the person you grew up to be has to be that. Like, Lauren Lacey gave everything she could into that paper, and that is why it's 500 pages long. I couldn't have thought of a better book to end the month off with. Again, we are in basketball season, so if you're willing to take the risk, know that there is a reward and a payoff for that particular book. All in all, I had a fantastic January. I hope you did as well. Let me know which was your favorite book that you read in the month of January. If you want to do that, leave me a basketball emoji. I've talked about basketball enough at the end of this video that I just want you to leave me a basketball emoji, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.